morning, Service Alliance community. How
Good morning,
y'all
Zach.
doing? I fixed it. I
Yeah.
fixed the tail end of it. It's not as like,
Oh, the countdown music.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about your mic from a month ago.
Oh, well, yeah, you know that too. That's what happens when you have XLR cords from Amazon. Don't buy Amazon.
Is that right?
Well, that's what happens. It literally it's a Zoom mic. It's a good mic. It's about $100 mic, give or take. Nice podcast mics. They got a good, frequency response. Cable's crap. It randomly like pulls itself out of the microphone, and you can't tell because even now it looks like it's connected. You
Well,
can't
you
really
sound good
tell.
today. You win
Yeah,
some, you lose some.
yeah, always, always. Good morning, guys. Spare. Yeah, I know. Sweetwater. They're really close to me, like really, really close to me. They're over in Indiana. It's about 3.5 hour trip. My daughter loves that store. Loves that
What is
store.
Sweetwater?
It's audio store. Like
Oh,
it's the audio playground. You know, yeah. It's for those of us that love tools, right? We love all kinds of tools. This
sure.
is like the biggest playground if you're an audio nerd, guitar, drums, mixing engineer. Like it doesn't matter.
In
It's
the
cool.
amateur radio world, they call it a candy store. You go to
Yeah,
the candy store to buy all your equipment. So,
yeah. That's definitely it. So they just got done with. They do it every year. It's called Gear Fest, and it's like 3-day festival, and they got like all the vendors out there, and it's really cool. Like they set up this whole back lot. Super cool to go to.
hmm.
I haven't been in a couple of years, but it's really cool. And it's Prime Day. Interesting. Very cool. Yeah, you do. And we'll go together. I'll join you, buddy, because I love that store. It's so cool. It's a lot of fun. I'm tired.
Yeah. So a bunch of people checking in. Good morning, all you folks.
Yeah. This is crazy.
Nice.
Loving it. Loving it. Loving it.
Some of the regulars got a couple of. I don't know that we see George Gracie very often.
He's been coming on more recently. Yeah.
Okay. Right on.
The man, the myth, the legend, Phil Mellenhow. One of the few names that I can pronounce correctly because he phonetically spelled it out for me, and we did it about 8 times before I said it. So now I can do it.
Yeah, I made you repeat it. Good on you for taking the time to memorize it.
I really try. If someone actually will spell it out for me phonetically, like how to say
Sure.
their name, I will actually take the effort to do it because it is something that I have a harder time with. I really do. I have to work hard to do names. I don't know why. So. Morning.
It's still wrong, he says. That's funny.
No. Really?
Is he talking about weight loss?
Alex, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We'll go into that a little bit today. No, he said this is technically wrong. I'm pronouncing it the way you phonetically spelled it for me, buddy.
I wonder if
do
he's
what I
saying
can.
that it's actually wrong because it has a roll or some kind of accents that maybe English-speaking Americans don't tend to have.
Mall.
Oh.
Mall and how. You win some, you lose some.
Close enough, man. So I was told a long time ago that it's rude to not at least make an attempt to say someone's name because it's like you don't even care enough to try. And people have often said, I don't want to butcher this. How do you say it? Like, I'm going to try, and then you correct me when I'm wrong. And I think there's a weird mental, is it right or wrong to say someone's name incorrectly? I'll at least try.
It's important. I mean, names are important, right? Like names are very important. We've all been given a unique name, and it's who we are, right? And so it is important. Um, Who was it I was reading? High Performance Habits. I had it in the ears as I was riding on the bicycle the other day. And he talks about that. He talks about like actually taking the time and the effort to
Mhm.
know people's names and speak them out, because it is an important part of it. So
Sorry to put you way off topic there.
no, it's good. It's good. It's good. So all right. Well, I'll pray us in, and then we'll get into going slow to go fast.
Well, hurry up then.
All right. Dear Father, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for this time. We're grateful to come together. We're grateful for the conversation that'll flow out of this. And Father, we pray that you bless the conversation and bless those listening, and be with each one as they go out into their world and serve their communities. We thank you and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you.
So we got. I'm gonna pull from Ecclesiastes 9 and 10, and then we'll kind of drift from here. But we're gonna start here, 9, 10 through 12. Whatever you do, do it well. For when you go to the grave, there'll be no work or planning or knowledge or wisdom. I've observed something else under the sun. The fastest runner doesn't always win the race. The strongest warrior doesn't always win the battle. The wise sometimes go hungry. The skillful are not necessarily wealthy. And those who are educated don't always lead successful lives. It's all decided by chance, by being in the right place at the right time. People can never predict when hard times might come. Like a fish in a net or birds in a trap, people are caught by such a sudden tragedy. And this, I mean, most of the book of Ecclesiastes is just like everything sucks and we're all dying, right?
Mhm.
That's most of it. But he wraps it up in like, yes, you should plan. Yes, you should do these things. Yes, you should believe in God. You should, like, and he does that to say, like, where's your focus? What are you looking at? So that's kind of the context of it all. But that verse 11, I observed something else under the sun. Fastest runner doesn't always win the race. And so for those of you who know, Alex kind of referenced that my face is shrinking rapidly. So I am a health coach, and have been for a lot of years, actually, just not super active in it, though now I am full on. But I'm preparing for a race. I'm preparing for a race on September 11th in Iowa. Actually, really excited about it. It'll be my first half marathon, and it's going to be the first of many bigger goals, as it were. But as I'm doing this training, because this is the longest distance that I've done, 13 miles, 13.1 miles. It's a distance. It's a long way. And so I'm looking future forward as well. I want to run a 50-mile ultra as well. So as I'm getting around, you talk about being around the 5 people that you want to be like, right? So I have some ultra runners that are in my circle. I have some high performance athletes that are in my circle that I'm learning from. They're like, man, like you gotta really slow down to go fast, and like it's going to help you in the long run. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And we've talked about this principle a little bit. The 80-20 rule in business, right? 80% of the activities should support the 20%, right? Same thing with speed. So 80% of the time I'm in zone 2. I have my heart rate at a very, very minimal rate. My pocket is like 120 to 130 is the pocket of my heart rate. If I'm hitting 130, I got to start walking to bring that heart rate back down.
Wow.
So 80% of my time is spent there. When I'm on the bike, same thing. I spend 80% of my time with my heart rate in that lower zone. What that does is that conditions your heart, conditions your lungs, conditions your muscles to handle that threshold. how the heck does this apply to business?
Well, before you get
Go
how it
ahead.
applies, what's your anticipated 13-mile time? Do you have one?
I'm shooting for 10-minute per mile pace.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Had,
So my fastest race pace, we did 10K. My wife and I did a 10K race pace at 9-minute miles, which was my personal best. I had only been running for maybe 8 months at that point. My wife had only been running for about 6 months at that
hmm.
point. And so we did 9-minute miles, which felt like we were screaming. uh,
Yeah, that's good.
yeah, well, I mean, you come from a guy who couldn't run a mile in high school. Like most people could walk faster than I could run.
So I put some effort in when I was turning 30 because 30 was a weird mark for me. And I got to 3 miles in 30 minutes, and I felt like that was a real good achievement. And then I got down to 3 miles in 27 minutes.
Yeah.
And at that point, I had lost enough weight and I quit, right? I was like, I'm not going to go to the gym every day anymore. I'm done with this. I've done what I needed to do. Of course, I put all the weight right back on and lost the habit and it turned into a big wreck. But
Well, so and that I mean that goes into what we're going to talk about today.
mhm.
Like and we'll tie that into business too. By the way, Rob Jones, this dude is like a beast. He's a triathlete. Like he's done the Ironman thing. Like so he's been spurring me on, encouraging me. We had a I don't know 35-minute conversation the other day as I'm on the bike. I'm huffing and puffing and we're just chatting back and forth. It was really really funny. So anyway, he's a cool dude. He's a cool dude.
So how does it apply to business?
Sorry. So I'll shape my 18.5 minute mile average. Yeah. So I've been there. There's nothing wrong with it. I can talk more about that off the air, but so how does it apply to business, right? So in business, like I was one of those people like, God, go fast, break shit. Like just, but like EJ was talking about yesterday, there's seasons, right? There's seasons for everything. And so sometimes you have to take the time and slow down, which is what he was hitting on yesterday with Doug. You have to slow down and you have to take the time, and that's where you plan. That's where you're with customers. That's where you're with employees. That's where you're right. Like all those things are being churned up and focused on, and you turn high, you highlight little different
Terrible.
hilarious. I don't know who that is. Click the button, but that was a funny comment. I enjoy that. Pass me a whole bag of cash going back every week now. That's awesome. But so like there's those seasons and like for health coaches, summer is like it's a slow time, right? Like we're busy planting in summer because in fall and winter is when everyone's like, oh, I gained 900 pounds because I was drinking every weekend. And, like everyone has seasons. In appliance repair, our season, right? Our planting season was technically winter. We were always a little bit slower in that winter, that first couple months leading into spring, and then summer comes and man, like trying to get someone on the podcast now is like trying to pull teeth because everyone's busy. It is the busiest part of the year. So what are you doing in those times? Are you taking that intentional time in planting season to slow down and think about what you want to harvest in the busy season in summer? Are you slowing down and preparing for what's to come?
I'm breaking it down to even shorter periods. My day is broken down into seasons because I am still new at this as far as the business owner goes. So my first hour, I'm not scheduling anything until after 9 o'clock because I want that first 7 to 9 o'clock to just be checking in on things. Did I forget anything yesterday? Do I need to go back and figure out, part tracking, different things like that. Check emails. Check emails is a really big one for me because I don't really like to check emails and reply. So I'm, putting it in my notes and checking the emails and looking at the tracking numbers and making sure people got scheduled properly. Going back over my written notes and making sure that I did put all the information in. And then I get out there and do some of the work. And then I come home and reflect at the end of the day. So I'm trying to apply that to my individual day as well as the whole year.
Well, and it applies to technicians too. Like if you're out there as a technician, you're like, oh, that doesn't apply to me. I don't do the bit. Oh, it applies to you even more, right? Like, especially when you're training or
Darn
you're
right.
learning a new part of the skill or you're whatever, like 80% of that time needs to be slowed way down and intentionally focused so that 20% you have that burst of energy. I just came out of a month of a fitness competition. It's as far as like weight loss or muscle gain or fat loss or what, like there's a couple different categories or whatever. And so like watching the group go from like there's about 20 of us like really just like and really the whole group of 75 was like, oh yeah, we're all in, we're gonna do it, we're down to like there was 3 of us on a Zoom call last night and we're the 3 top people, and but we're still in it in the end, like we're still learning from the guy who's running the competition because he's a super science nerd when it comes to the fitness and the nutrition and the because he's done it for 20 years. But
Did he start that entire thing by saying 75 of you were going to start, but only 5 of you were going to finish?
no, but that would have been really cool. Like that would have been really cool. But like so he's kind of like me when he's like a statistics nerd. So he's looking at the graphs and so he's showing us like our stuff. And this one girl, Elena, and I mean I can't call her girl. She's my age or a little bit older, maybe. He's like, dude, look how like dialed it. He's like, Zach is so geeked out right now. Like, look how dialed in she is. Like, she's like her numbers were just like a perfect line. And as she was trying to increase, it was just like this perfect. Holy cow. No wonder I'm like always at her heels as we're going through this competition. But the point of that is she took the time to slow down and plan out. I got
Whatever
2
you
weeks.
do it well.
I got 2 weeks in and went, I'm doing this all wrong.
Had to change gears, huh?
So my normal training regimen was like just balls out, like, oh man, like I want to run a 10-minute mile. I'm always gonna run 10-minute miles. Like and maybe I'm gonna run a little bit faster because faster is better, right? And you smoke out. And that was the point of the 75 down to 5, right? Like you start with 75 and they're all just like, yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. And by the end, like the people that were consistent and planning and paying attention and took that time to slow down and look at the whole picture, those are the ones that are left, right? And that same thing happens in business, happens in the tech life, happens in your personal life. Take some time to just.
So I want to pull an example without using a name, but we do have an alliance member that has grown, in my opinion, relatively quickly, but at an appropriate speed for their business. What if you do find yourself like the 75 that you're working with? How do you get back in the competition when you do get burnt out? When you've got to a point where you've given up, so you eat a gallon of ice cream. How do you get back in there?
Well, so that starts with what's your foundation, right? We, I mean, it's like beating a dead horse, but what's your why?
Yeah. Okay.
If your why isn't strong enough, nothing else is going to sustain. The things that I do are bigger than me, right? Like coming here in the morning and doing the grind is bigger than me. I don't do this for me personally. I do this for the community. The 5 of us that run the Service Alliance as the business side of things, like we don't We don't do it for us. We do it because there's something bigger out there, right? In my fitness, in my that stuff, the health goals. Like it's because my daughter's watching. It's because my wife needs me to be around. And so my why is so much bigger, right? And so in business, you have to have that same thing. Why are you doing it? I mean, ultimately, yes, you want to make some money. Great. But that's only going to sustain you so long.
Right.
Ask me how I know.
Well, when money's your goal, it's going to be a failing goal. But
Right.
so you went balls to the wall for the first 2 weeks. How did you take the step back and recalibrate? What was your focus plan, or how did you come back to your why?
Because so like EJ is the master of tracking everything, right?
Hmm.
Like EJ he's got spreadsheets and graphs and charts and and I very much I enjoy the data side of it. I have a hard time actually doing that. But
Sure, assembling it.
in the process of this competition, we had so many tools at our disposal. I was using my fitness pal, which was syncing over to another program from him, um, from the guy leading the competition. And then I have my Runkeeper app, and then I had Apple Health. And like all these things are funneling into one spot. And so as I'm tracking literally everything throughout the day and throughout the course of the weeks, I could see those charts. Like I was sharing about her chart was just like,
Perfect.
I mean, perfect line. You could see like ups and downs and dips in mine, but you could see the overall trajectory was in
Trend.
a certain way. But in those first 2 weeks, I could see that like the things that I thought should happen were not happening. And that was the whole point of the competition, was to kind of learn. You're either going to hit your goals or you're going to learn why you didn't, right? Like you'll know why you
Gotcha.
didn't. And so same thing applies in business. Like, are you tracking? Are you looking at these things? Are you slowing down? That's the point of slowing down. Are you
Are you
able
making a
to
plan?
notice when the plan is going off the Listen, if you're a freight train and you're barreling down the tracks and all of a sudden one of the cars comes off, but you're going so dang fast that you don't notice that one of the cars came off, and then all of a sudden you're 20 miles down the road and you got nothing left but a locomotive. Did that do you any good? No.
So a little bit off topic, but change gears just slightly. In your original verse, one of the things that stood out to me was the gentleman said it's all about chance. You know, it's not a fish didn't have the gold to get caught in that net. It was the chance. And what I want to get here too is how many different ways there is, old saying, to skin a cat, right? A lot of us do things very differently, but we all still have the same end results. You're still getting the right results to finish your competition. That lady that has the perfect trends, she's getting there in a different way, but getting the good results. How did you determine that your path was different than her path?
I didn't even know her path. I'm just so like I'm seeing there's leaderboards and
I
stuff going
gotcha.
on. And I'm like always at her heels. It's like
Hmm.
she's 900 they call them MEPs. 900 MEPs ahead. Like how is she 900 MEPs ahead? I'm burning like 1500 calories a day in exercise. Like what am I doing?
Hmm.
What is this? But then like as we did the debrief last night, okay, like I get it. Her nutrition, she's 33, 33, 33. I mean, like she's dialed in. But as far as the whole chance thing goes, right? Like there is a certain level in business. And EJ and I have actually had this discussion. And I've had it with James Dolbert from my brain just went blank on his company, but anyway, he's led classes at ASTI. He's been around a long time, former president of United Servicers, stuff like that. Really cool guy. Love James. Um, we've had conversations. There's a certain amount of luck, right? Like had I been doing appliance repair in Illinois 20 years earlier and actually cared about it, like really had the heart to do it like he does, I could have built a company like that in this area. Now, I wouldn't try and start that size of a company in this and that's just chance. That's the economy of this particular area. Like it's crazy. And you can see that as you go through different areas of the country too. Like there's certain areas that just by chance you guys are booming. Like absolutely boom. You hear TK talk about it all the time. He's like, we don't even advertise. We don't do anything. Like we have so much that we can't keep up. And then there's other areas of the country that are working so hard, like time and time again. And that's kind of the chance thing, right? There is a certain level of planning and preparation and skill that can overcome some of those natural obstacles that are going to come. But there's a certain amount of luck. And you do create some luck too. If you've never heard Phil say it, he carries a double-headed coin, right? Like he makes his own luck.
Well, that's speaking to what Jenny's very long comment was here about. It's not just luck. You have to be open to the luck. You have to actually be looking for some luck. There's a lot more to chance than just it can happen. No, it can happen because you gave it the ability to can happen. There's a lot to that. That's a really long statement there, but
yeah, I mean, so the harder I work, the luckier I get. That this kind of summarizes a little better. And I love Ed Milet. He talks about the reticular activating system. What you switch on, what you're paying attention to, right? Those opportunities, they're going to it's also called the law of attraction, right? Phil, I still
sure.
do. The law of attraction, right? So if you're generally a positive person, guess what? There's going to be some generally positive things that are coming your way. If you're a generally negative person, guess what? There's going to be some generally negative things coming your way. If you are looking to succeed in business, guess what? That's going to attract itself to you because you're looking for it. That is on, right? Morning, Foreman. That's on. That's what you're attract. So yes, that level of chance per se, some of that is there, and there is some of that is just like you might have been born in the right place.
Oh,
like
sure.
you might have moved to the right place on a off chance. Like it's not all chance, right?
So
It's just
I kind of attribute some of that that negativity or that chance, right? Chances can be bad luck. That people think of it as bad luck, but that's almost like a pimply face adolescent, woe is me mindset. And I almost feel like people get stuck there. That death metal phase, like, oh, the world is crap, blah blah blah, and then they all of a sudden they grow up, and that's how I feel. I felt like I grew up and realized I make my opportunities. I work hard to get to a point that an opportunity can be awarded to me, and that's a grown up thought. I mean,
well, I mean, to this point, negative stuff comes your way, and you're positive. Just let it glide by, keep moving, right? If your natural inclination isn't to be positive, you're naturally tend to be a more. I have to work really hard to be positive. Like,
is that right?
for those of you who don't know me well, I really do have to work really hard to be positive.
That comes off as a surprise, right? I mean, that doesn't show in your personality. It doesn't shine through necessarily.
Yeah. I mean, some of my sabbatical was like trying to correct the imbalance going because I can get stuck in that negative. The last month literally has just been like page after page after page of writing 5 things every single day that I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
Forcing myself to slow down and take the time to think about the things that I'm grateful for. And that begins to flip the script for you. It begins to turn on the reticular activating system, right? It begins to retrain your brain, recut those grooves, right, in your brain to focus on the good, to focus on the positive. So what the heck does all that have
Yeah.
to do with slowing down?
Yeah. Slow down.
You can't focus on that stuff. You can't look at that stuff. You can't observe that stuff if you haven't slowed down enough. Just to take, stop and smell the roses. There's wisdom, a ton of wisdom in that, right? Take the time to just bring it down a notch and look around and see what's going on. Feel the things that you're feeling. Notice the things that you're noticing. Um, Doug and EJ were talking about me being the mindset guy. It's because I have to work harder to overcome what could be perceived as a handicap, right? I am not naturally inclined to being positive, right? There's people out there that deal with ADD, ADHD. They have to work harder to focus, right? I have to work harder to be a positive person. And maybe that's you. Or maybe you're naturally a positive person. Awesome. I'm glad that you are. Follow this comment. Let that negative stuff just water off a duck's back,
Yeah.
right?
My handicap is self-esteem. I'm never good enough.
Well, and again, that's in mindset too.
Yeah.
And you can change that. That's that self-talk, that self-motivation, and maybe part of your morning routine, part of that slow down, unwind season that you have in the morning needs to be bolstering yourself with some positive self-talk in the morning, right? Everyone's different. That's the point. Like, everyone is a little bit different, but if you're not taking any intentional slower time, whether it's through the day, through the year, through the quarter, through the whatever, how are you going to know?
So a few things about my company, because slow growth is very important to me personally. I wanted to jump in the middle of the hot season and just go right into it. And that's not the way it worked. Unfortunately, it didn't, because I started in a slow part of the year and then gradually worked my way up. And now I've decided, okay, I'm gradually building. Everything is moving steady forward. What do I do next? Is it jump into insurance companies or warranty, or what should I do to have steady but slow growth? And that's something that I did not go out to all the insurance companies or all the different places to get all the work. I really wanted a slow but steady trajectory. And now I'm ready for the next level, right? I've gone up enough that I'm ready for the next level. So that's been my slow but go fast. Because once I'm ready to build, I have a base under me and I'm ready to build.
One of the things that I encourage, especially like a newer business, and it's not that you haven't been in the business, like, you understand the business, right? One of the things that I encourage people is look ahead, right? What do I mean by look ahead? All right, so you have one goal and you're almost to it.
Yeah.
What's next?
Right.
Like, we just had that conversation in one of our accountability groups for the nutrition plan. This lady's like, oh man, like, I'm scared to transition because, like, if I stop following the diet portion of this, like, I'm going to gain all the weight back. Okay. That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is, what's next? How am I challenging myself? And I shared, like, some people it's yoga, some people it's like I'm pursuing a 50-mile race down the road. Like, so what's next for you, right? Like, so you've gotten to this level and you're almost approaching that goal. And EJ shared this before too, like, hey, I'm at this level. Okay, what's my next? That's the whole point of the goals and stuff like that, is that you're almost like stair stepping. So you're on the stair, but you see the next stair just ahead of you. And then, you just keep going like that.
Yeah. My 1 year goal, I made it halfway in 5 months, is why I was looking forward. Because at that 1 year point, when I've hit the numbers that I intend to, I also have a second year goal, then the numbers are significantly higher. So I need to be able to hit that. That's why I am looking forward. I do need to start making the next step to get to my second year goal, because my first year goal, even though it's only 6 months in, I am likely going to hit it. Therefore, I need to work towards making it to my second year goal as well. So that's where I'm at, is looking forward, but doing it at a pace that makes sense.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Chris and I have had this conversation multiple times. Slowing down all the way around is important in your business, your life. Don't work 7 days a week. Take some time for your family. Burnout is real, and it can spiral you into a dark rabbit hole. And where him and I had this conversation is that I'm always working. I literally
Yeah.
I work 7 days a week, but when I am off, I am off. When I am with my family, I am with my family.
That's what I try to prescribe to too. It's not that I can't work 7 days a week. For one, I like what I do, so working 7 days a week doesn't really matter as much, but it's actually not working. It's coming off work. That's the important part to me.
Yeah.
It's taking the 10 minutes to play Sudoku during the middle of the day. It's playing games with the family. It's actually turning the phones off and moving away from work. That really counts to me.
Yep. Whatever that looks like, because
Right.
because the way that we do it may not be the way that you do
Exactly.
it. Chris takes that Sunday off, like he's unplugged, off, not there, right?
Yeah.
And that's how it works for him. He's also a firefighter. So he's on shift, right? Like he's on so many days, and then he's out doing the appliance repair, and then he's, back on shift. And so like he has certain days that he can do certain things. So whatever your rhythm is, whatever your seasons are, follow those. I just encourage you to not like take it like a rocket ship all the time. You need to throttle back and let that momentum kind of build. The tortoise and the hare, right? Like there's a reason why that story resonates, and it is such reality, is because if you can find that consistent pace
Right.
over time, you will gradually get faster, you will gradually get bigger, you will gradually, whatever you're trying to do, accomplish, because it is that slow, steady incline, right? It's not 100% straight line. So
That's why I think there's a real sweet spot on the number of calls that you can perform during the day. There are lots of guys out there that are like, yeah, I can do 14 calls a day. It's not that big a deal. Like, no, you can do 9 good calls a day, maybe 10 if you're really lucky. But once you start rushing through calls, you're not doing good work anymore. So there's no point in rushing through to make the extra calls, because you're not making anybody happy. You're probably not making yourself happy because you're overworking yourself, and you're definitely not making customers all that happy, or not as happy as they could be if you decreased your workload a little bit. It's been a big argument that I've had with people that push. Like, how long can you do that before it's just not good enough anymore? It's no good.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. So I keep coming back, and mentally I'm thinking warp speed in the movies. You see the warp speed when you're flying through the space, and all the stars are just zipping past you. Like, each one of those stars could have been another customer. Each one of those stars could have been another technician that you're missing that you can't hire. And it's just because you're blowing past them. Warp speed.
It's not just that. On the other end of it, there's a sudden stop.
For sure.
Foreman, what do you do when you realize you're not a good technician? You're the visionary, but the money you make. So you're talking to two really good technicians here. Just because I don't like appliance repair doesn't mean I'm not a good technician. But here's what I've learned from EJ, because EJ doesn't enjoy being the technician, right? Start noticing people. Start paying attention to people. And this really plays right into what Andrew was just talking about. Start taking that 360 look around and start noticing some people. And then make sure you got some money saved aside and pay for training. Because if you're not the good technician, if you can't train, if you're starting from the ground up, because you might be able to recruit someone who's a really
Yeah,
good technician that
that's what I
can
was going to
then,
say.
yeah. I mean, that's one. I'm
If you're
multiple
managing
ways to
multiple
skin it.
people, then you
Yeah.
really need to have a good service manager. You can do the business stuff and let the service manager take care of the service stuff, and try not to be a jerk about it, because he's going to disagree with you and he's probably going to be right.
Training wise.
Yeah.
Training wise.
But
Yeah.
you're right too. Get training. You can become a better technician. You can grow your abilities. There's no reason to say that you're a bad technician and I'll never be a good one. It's maybe you don't know as much as you want to, and that should be your drive if you like the appliance part.
Or maybe you're not passionate. And that's where I was going with that too. If you're
Okay.
going to hire someone from the ground up, you can send them to get training somewhere else. If you're noticing people and you notice someone who has the right drive but maybe not the skill set, and you don't have the skill set to train them, send them somewhere. Have that money set aside to send them somewhere. If you're a visionary, you're going to figure out a way to create that money, right? Money's all BS anyway. So you're going to find a way to create that money and make it happen.
Phil's the master.
Shameless
But
plug.
he's right, man. He is right. Have somebody to support you from the backside. That's a weird way to say it. But from someone that has a bigger support structure like Phil would be the right way to go. Or without being, too weird, Mr. Appliance could do it for you too. Or then if you're a one-man show and you know that you're not good enough, go, which is a mean thing to say, but go off and work for a different company. GE hires all the time. There's places that will hire you and you can make a killing as a tech. You don't have to be an owner. Matter of fact, you're probably better off being a tech than you are being an owner.
I'm going to say something that is not a popular opinion, and I'm okay with it, but it's just something that I'm noticing just as I'm taking the time to notice. There's going to come a time where a lot of companies have to work together.
Oh,
because this individualistic garbage is not, you're not going to be able to survive this economy with this. I'm going to be a millionaire as a one-man tech crap that goes around. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Love working with other companies. That's it. So these type of partnerships, co-ops, I don't know what it's going to look like, but that's what it's going to take to survive the next however long. I really don't know how long it is, but I see it happening in Virginia. I love what TK and those guys are doing out there. They're coming together, they're having breakfast together, they're having community together. And if push came to shove and someone had to absorb another company, and someone's better at business and someone's better at service managing and someone's better at doing, Virginia could pull it off. Those guys there in the Richmond area could create one gigantic company and it would function just as seamless as the 15 or 20 individual companies that it is right now.
I feel like that
I see that coming.
Yeah, I think the competition mindset has started to break, and we're getting luckier and luckier to see our fellow business owners rather than our competitive business owners. I think it's getting better. So I think you're right too. It does have to come to that at some point, most likely.
And this is just kind of going down that rabbit hole of Foreman. Maybe you are the visionary. Maybe you need a partner with another company that there's a great service guy. That's the guy is great at running service, but is not a good business person, is not a good visionary. Maybe they're a numbers guy, maybe they're a mechanics kind of day to day, right? Partner with them.
Jenny says maybe not in small towns. I think small towns are going to be where it's most important, actually, because you're not going to be able to afford the fuel to cross several counties to get to the customer that really wants you there. So if you give that, you with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So
You're
if
right.
you give that call to the guy that is over there, but he's giving you the calls in your counties, you're going to run much more efficiently. So I think there could be a lot of benefit to teaming up with the guy that's a couple counties away rather than driving across those couple of counties. I don't know if you recognize that, but no.
I'm not sure how it's all going to lay out.
Sure.
I, I hear Doug talk about they got however many guys all over the dang place, and like I just see that. Mm, I can't say with definitive, but there's patterns
Hmm.
emerging that I'm seeing. Like, I don't know. We do work with other companies, but yeah, yeah. I mean, so like I said, I don't know what it's going to look like. There is going to be a certain level where companies are going to have to merge together, but there's going to be some version of like cooperative as well, like what's going on in Richmond. All I was saying with that is if you built those relationships, right? Like if it became necessary, those guys in Richmond could literally roll into one company and no one would know the difference.
And I think maybe what you're saying is be open-minded to the idea that working with someone down the road, you might want to even structure that. Think about that in your head because that is something that could be possible down the road. More than just a friendly relationship, maybe there could be a joint company at some point later on down the road.
Maybe
So
you're not
process that.
passionate about it anymore. Maybe you want to go and I don't know.
Sure, for
I
sure.
don't know what the case is. Maybe you want to focus more on being technical and training. Maybe you want to focus more on office and growing and being the visionary. That's all I'm saying. Slow down, open up your mind and take a look. Just notice things. Like just notice some things that are going on around and be surprised what you can see when you
Right
slow
on.
down long enough to notice.
Ain't that the truth?
It's it's a whole different world once you start to slow down. And from a guy that was go fast and shit all the time, like
But
there's
it's
a
all by
breath.
chance too, right?
Yeah. Well,
No, none of it matters. It's
eh,
just it's
yeah,
good luck.
yeah. We all die anyway. Uh
Exactly.
I love Ecclesiastes. If you read it with the big picture in mind, it's such an interesting and fun book, Solomon.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, that's
Hmm.
what I got. Rob Jones, slow down to go faster. 100%. It's if distance runners and triathletes and marathon like this is we live by this mantra: slow down to go faster. And once you do, like it feels so counterintuitive, but man, just practice it a little bit and I did 7 miles on Sunday before church.
Did
Okay,
you?
so I got up at 4:30 in the morning. I was out the door and I was done by 7:15 in the morning, like ready to rock and roll. And by the time I hit mile 4, I'm like, all right, cool. Let's keep going. Like I could go another 6 miles, 7 miles. Like I started feeling good because I kept that pace at such a good place all along. Just practice it. It's well worth it. Chris, I have started a relationship with another tech in my county. We refer service to each other. He supports my used appliance business. There's customers. We formed a good relationship. And it could be this like, and I know that's what you were saying, Jenny, as well. Like you do work with other companies, like not officially. This is important. In my area, I had two guys. They were solo operations that I could partner with.
Hmm.
The rest of them were like, we don't need you. We're smarter than you, better than you. Da, 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 da. Okay. I mean, I that's not what it was all about, but like I could have sent you customers that are better suit for you. You know what I mean? Like all I'm saying is just let's open up our minds. Let's begin to develop these relationships and friendships. That's why I appreciate the service line so much, whether it's appliance repair, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, whatever. Like beginning to open up and just be in community together. It's great. Like I love seeing what you guys as a community are accomplishing.
So
It's a
before we
beautiful
get
thing.
bounced out, I did have one more thing.
Yeah.
As far as the metropolitans go, that's going to wind up joining into the big company. Bigger companies are going to be the ones who take over metropolitans. So your Actions of the world, and your Mr. Appliances, your Phil's is remind me,
Atomic.
Thank you. Those bigger companies are going to be the ones that can help the metropolitan areas because they're able to dispatch multiple people into different areas, right? Whereas the smaller, the more rural towns are going to have an easier time as your one-man shows that do co-op with, different one-man shows or whatever. So I actually think Jenny might be on the opposite. I think she could be wrong about that, and that realistically the co-oping is going to be better for the smaller areas rather than the bigger areas.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I know, like,
yeah, I think we're 20 years away from anything like that even mattering. But
yeah. I'm not saying it's happening tomorrow, but I am saying that like there's some patterns emerging. That'll be interesting to see how they play out. AAA appliance. That's what James's company is. AAA in Chicago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like companies like that could absorb other companies in a larger metro and would have better success than a bunch of little fractured companies running around. And again, competition is good. I like free market. I'm good with free market. I think there is a level of cooperation that needs to happen. And it's good to kind of like see this starting in 20 years. Hopefully we're enjoying retirement. Yes.
I was approached recently to be absorbed into a bigger company, and it's a really hard thing not to think about, at least, but I'm not sure. I think I've made my decision, which is if they want me, it's because I'm doing the right things. I'm doing good. I'm maybe not competition, but I am at least taking over something, right? Even my small piece of the pie is still a piece of the pie that they want.
Well, and I think that's a good thing. I mean, I think it's good to have that type of opportunity to be able to spur each other on. Rob says major metros in Dallas Fort Worth always been co-op forming over certain areas. Yeah. Well, in Texas is ridiculous. I mean, that speaks exactly to what Andrew was saying earlier. Like the gas that it costs across like areas, especially in Texas. Good night. Or like our buddy Craig over there in Australia. I mean, like, holy crap. It's freaking huge country. Like trying to like it wouldn't happen. So
yeah,
I don't know what's going to come of it. There's patterns emerging, and I'm curious to see what happens, and just encouraging everyone to have like an open mind for what could come. Like just be curious. Just be curious. Slow down long enough to notice.
Unanticipated big topic there, brother.
Yeah, it happens. I like to bring it sometimes.
Yeah, right on.
3-hour drive from one of the city. Yeah, yeah, that's Texas for you. They do it bigger down there. So, anyway,
all right, man.
I gotta go. I gotta go burn some calories.
Dude,
you guys have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
See ya.